The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor, and every head in the ballroom turned toward Adanna Okafor. She didn't flinch. Her dark eyes remained fixed on the men across the room, the men whose engagement party she'd just crashed, the men who'd promised her forever 9 years ago before his family tore them apart. Ji-hun Kang stood frozen beside his fiancée, his face drained of color, his hand trembling as he lowered his own glass. "I apologize for the disruption," Adanna said, her voice carrying across the sudden silence with the authority of someone who'd built a tech empire from nothing. "But I have a business proposal for Kang Corporation that simply couldn't wait." The murmurs started immediately. Adanna caught the shocked whispers, the recognition rippling through Seoul's elite as they realized who she was. The expelled scholarship student. The Nigerian girl the Kangs had paid to disappear. Except she hadn't disappeared. She'd transformed into their only salvation. Ji-hun's mother, Mrs. Kang, approached with the careful steps of a woman protecting her territory. "Ms. Okafor, this is hardly the appropriate venue. Isn't it?" Adanna tilted her head, her box braids swept to one side in a style that cost $500 at Seoul's most exclusive salon. "Your company's stock has dropped 40% in 6 months. Your board is threatening a vote of no confidence. I'm offering you Okafor Technologies' AI integration platform, exclusively. It could save everything your family has built." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "But we need to begin negotiations tonight, or I take my offer to Samsung tomorrow morning." The calculation in Mrs. Kang's eyes was almost amusing. Adanna knew the exact moment desperation overcame pride. She'd spent 9 years waiting for this moment, building toward it, ensuring that when she returned to Seoul, the Kangs would need her more than she'd ever needed them. "Perhaps we could discuss this in my husband's study," Mrs. Kang said finally, her smile sharp as broken glass. "Wonderful." Adanna's gaze drifted back to Ji-hun. He'd aged beautifully, she noted with a pang she refused to acknowledge. The boy who'd held her in secret was now a man trapped in a cage of family expectations. "Mr. Kang, since you'll be overseeing the collaboration, I assume you'll join us." Ji-hun's fiancée, a woman Adanna recognized as the daughter of a shipping magnate, placed a possessive hand on his arm. "Appa, surely this can wait until Monday." "Business waits for no one, Miss Choi," Adanna said smoothly. "Your fiancé understands that, I'm sure. After all, Kang Corporation's survival depends on decisive action." The study smelled of old money and older secrets. Mahogany bookcases lined walls covered in photographs of Kang family achievements. Adanna noticed they'd removed every trace of her existence, even the debate team photo where she and Ji-hun had stood side by side, both holding first-place trophies. Mr. Kang sat behind his massive desk, a man diminished by recent failures but still commanding. Mrs. Kang stood at his shoulder like a general. Ji-hun took a position by the window, his jaw tight, refusing to look at Adanna directly. 6 weeks, Adanna announced, placing her briefcase on the conference table. "That's how long full integration will take. Mr. Kang will work directly with me, daily meetings, full access to both companies' systems. My lawyers have drawn up a contract that protects both parties' interests while ensuring complete collaboration." 6 weeks is extreme, Mr. Kang said. "Surely we can manage with weekly check-ins." "Then we have nothing to discuss." Adanna reached for her briefcase. "Samsung's CEO is a personal friend. I'm sure he'll appreciate my call." "Wait." The word came from Ji-hun, rough and strained. It was the first time he'd spoken directly to her in 9 years. "We'll do it. 6 weeks, daily meetings, whatever you require." Ji-hun, his mother started, but he cut her off with a sharp gesture. "We're out of options, Yama. You know it. I know it." His eyes finally met Adanna's, and the impact nearly staggered her. Pain, regret, something that looked like hunger. "When do we start?" "Tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. My office." Adanna pulled out a contract, already signed on her end. "Mr. Kang, you'll need to sign tonight. The exclusivity clause expires at midnight." The scratching of pen on paper sounded like victory. Adanna allowed herself the smallest smile as she collected the contract. "I look forward to our collaboration." She was halfway to the door when Ji-hun's voice stopped her. "Adanna." She turned slowly, carefully, keeping her expression neutral even as her heart hammered against her ribs. "Why now?" he asked quietly. "Why come back?" The answer lived in 1,000 sleepless nights, in her mother's grave, in every moment she'd clawed her way from nothing to everything. But she gave him only the surface truth. "Because I can." "Good night, Mr. Kang. Don't be late tomorrow." The building that housed Okafor Technologies gleamed like a blade in Seoul's skyline, all glass and steel and aggressive modernity. Ji-hoon stood in the lobby, adjusting his tie for the third time, feeling like a man approaching his own execution. The elevator ride to the 15th floor felt both endless and too short. When the doors opened directly into Adanna's office suite, he understood immediately that she'd designed this space as a statement. Everything about it screamed power, success, someone who'd remade herself entirely. "You're 4 minutes early," Adanna said without looking up from her computer. She sat behind a desk that probably cost more than his first car, wearing a navy suit that hugged her curves with calculated precision. "I appreciate punctuality. We need to talk." Ji-hoon closed the distance between them. "Not about business. About us." "There is no us." Her fingers never stopped moving across her keyboard. "There's a business arrangement. I suggest you review the integration timeline I sent at 6 this morning." "Adanna, please look at me." She did, finally, and the coldness in her expression was worse than any anger. "Is there a professional matter you need to discuss, Mr. Kang? Because if not, we're wasting billable hours. You can't pretend the past didn't happen." "I don't pretend it didn't happen." Adanna stood, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. "I remember every detail. Your mother's offer. 5 million won to leave Seoul and never contact you again. Your father's threats about my mother's visa status. The way you stood there and said nothing while they destroyed us." The words hit like physical blows. "I was 17. My father controlled everything. You were a coward." She turned to face him, and now he saw the rage beneath the ice. "I was 16, pregnant, and terrified, and you let them ship me away like trash." The floor seemed to tilt beneath Ji-hoon's feet. "What? You didn't know?" Adanna laughed, bitter and sharp. "Of course you didn't. Your mother made sure of that. I miscarried 3 weeks after they sent me to Lagos. Stress, the doctors said. Trauma." Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. "I wanted to die, Ji-hoon. I wanted to die, and you never even called." He couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the roaring in his ears. "Adanna, I didn't know. God, I swear I didn't know. Does it matter?" She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly looking younger, vulnerable in a way that cracked his heart open. "You still chose them over me. You still let me go without fighting." "I tried." The words tumbled out desperately. "I called your mother's apartment 100 times. I went to the airport, but they'd already sent you on a private flight. I hired investigators, but they said you'd signed documents agreeing never to contact our family again. Documents your mother forged. I know that now." Ji-hoon pulled out his phone with shaking hands, showing her a folder of documents. "I found these 2 years ago, when my father had his first stroke and I gained access to the family accounts. Payment receipts. Legal documents. All of it fake." He looked at her directly, letting her see his anguish. "I spent 9 years thinking you'd taken the money and chosen to leave. Finding out the truth nearly destroyed me. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think so far." Adanna's mask slipped, just for a moment, revealing the girl she'd been beneath the armor. "Then why didn't you come find me?" "Because I was engaged by then. My father's health was failing. The company was hemorrhaging money. And I thought." He stopped, forcing himself to continue. "I thought you'd built a life without me. That you were happy. That I had no right to disrupt that after what my family did to you. So noble." But her voice lacked conviction now. The dutiful son, sacrificing himself for family honor. "No." Ji-hoon closed the space between them until he could see the gold undertones in her dark brown skin. "Not noble. Gutless. Just like you said." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a coral bead bracelet on a leather cord, its twin to the one she still wore beneath her sleeve. He knew because he'd seen its outline through the fabric. I kept this. I kept everything. Every letter you sent before they stopped reaching me. Every photo. Every memory. I kept it all because letting go would mean accepting what I'd lost, and I couldn't. I still can't. Adanna's hand moved unconsciously to her wrist, to the bracelet hidden there. This doesn't change anything. Your family destroyed mine. My mother worked herself to death trying to support us in Lagos. She died believing I'd brought shame to our name. Your family did that. I know. Ji-hun's voice broke. I know, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. But Adanna, please, don't shut me out again. Not when we finally have a chance to. To what? She stepped back, rebuilding her walls. Have a happy ending. This isn't a drama, Ji-hun. You're engaged. I'm here to save your company because it serves my business interests. That's all this is. You're lying. If that's all this was, you could have sent your COO to handle negotiations. You came back because you needed to face me as much as I need to face you. The intercom buzzed. Ms. Okafor, your 9 o'clock is here. Adanna's professional mask slammed back into place. We'll discuss the integration timeline now. Everything else is off limits. Are we clear? No. Ji-hun held his ground. We have 6 weeks of daily meetings. You can't avoid this conversation forever. Watch me. She pressed the intercom button. Send them in. The weeks bled together in a strange dance of proximity and distance. They worked side by side, their teams merging systems, strategies, futures. Ji-hun watched Adanna command rooms full of executives with effortless authority. She'd always been brilliant, but poverty had sharpened her edges, hunger had given her teeth. She was magnificent and terrifying, and he fell deeper in love with her every day. Late one evening, when the offices had emptied and only ambient lighting remained, Ji-hun found her standing by the windows, her reflection ghostly in the glass. You should go home, she said without turning. Your fiancé probably wonders where you are. Soyeon knows I'm here. She knows everything. He stood beside her, careful not to touch. We don't love each other, Adanna. It's a business arrangement. Her family needs the alliance as much as mine does. How civilized. It's suffocating. The admission escaped before he could stop it. Every day I wake up and go through the motions of a life I never chose. I smile for cameras, attend charity galas, pretend everything is fine while my family's legacy crumbles and my heart. He stopped, aware he'd said too much. Your heart what? Still belongs to a girl I lost 9 years ago. He turned to face her. Still beats faster when she walks into a room. Still breaks every time she looks at me like I'm a stranger. Adanna's breath caught, but her voice remained steady. That girl doesn't exist anymore. I know. But the woman she became is even more extraordinary. Ji-hun reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he brushed a braid from her face, his fingers lingering against her cheek. I see you, Adanna. Not the CEO or the success story. I see the girl who used to debate philosophy with me until sunrise. Who believed in justice and equality and love. Who kissed me in secret and promised we'd change the world together. That girl was naive. But Adanna leaned into his touch, just slightly. She believed promises meant something. Some promises do. He pulled out a folder from his briefcase, handing it to her. I had my lawyers draw these up. Documents that transfer 40% of Kang Corporation to you, outright. No strings, no conditions. It's yours regardless of what happens between us personally. Adanna opened the folder, scanning the papers with growing shock. This is insane. Your family will never agree. They don't have a choice. I control the trust now that my father's health has declined. I'm making this right, Adanna. However I can. I don't want your guilt money. She shoved the folder back at him. I don't want anything from you except what we agreed to professionally. Then what do you want? Ji-hun's frustration finally broke through. Because I'm here, day after day, trying to show you I've changed, that I'm not the boy who failed you, and you won't give me an inch. What do I have to do, Adanna? What do I have to be? You have to be someone who chose me. The words exploded from her, raw and devastating. 9 years ago, you had to be someone brave enough to fight for us. But you weren't, and now it's too late. We can't go back. We can't undo the damage. So stop trying to fix the past and just help me finish this deal so I can leave Seoul and forget you again. Is that really what you want? He caught her wrist as she tried to walk away. To forget? Because I don't believe you. I see the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. I hear the catch in your breath when we stand too close. You can't forget any more than I can. Let me go. But she didn't pull away. Never again. Jihoon drew her closer, slowly, carefully, waiting for resistance that never came. I'm done being a coward, Adanna. I'm done choosing duty over truth. If you want me to stop, say it. Say you feel nothing, that the past is dead, that there's no chance for us. Say it and mean it, and I'll walk away. Adanna's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. I hate you. I know. I hate that you're making me feel this again. Making me hope when hope is dangerous. I know. He rested his forehead against hers, breathing her in. But I love you. I never stopped loving you. And I will spend every day proving that I deserve a second chance, even if it takes the rest of my life. The kiss, when it came, tasted like salt and sorrow and 9 years of longing. Adanna's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer even as she whispered, "This is a mistake." "Then it's mine to make," he murmured against her lips. They broke apart when her phone buzzed insistently. Adanna answered, her expression shifting from vulnerable to hardened in seconds. When? How bad? She listened, then hung up. Your father's had another stroke. He's at Seoul National University Hospital. The hospital's sterile lighting made everything feel surreal. Jihoon's family gathered in the private waiting room like soldiers preparing for war. His mother sat rigid and pale. His younger brother paced by the windows. Soyeon stood slightly apart, her presence a reminder of obligations he'd been trying to forget. You brought her. Mrs. Kang's voice could have frozen blood when she spotted Adanna in the doorway. Here. Now. She drove me. Jihoon's tone allowed no argument. And she stays. This is family business. She's more family than any of you ever acknowledged. He felt Adanna stiffen beside him, but he didn't back down. If it weren't for our family's cruelty 9 years ago, she would have been my wife. She would have been the mother of my child. So yes, Iyama, she stays. The shock that rippled through the room was palpable. His brother stopped pacing. His mother stood, face flushing with anger. Soyeon's eyes went wide. What are you talking about? Mrs. Kang demanded. The pregnancy you never told me about. The baby Adanna lost because of the stress you caused. Jihoon's voice remained deadly calm. The documents you forged. The threats you made. The lies you told to keep us apart. I know everything now, and I'm done pretending this family did nothing wrong. Jihoon, please, Adanna whispered, touching his arm. Not here. Not now. When, then? He turned to her, letting his family see everything he felt. When do I get to stop hiding what you mean to me? When do I get to stop paying for my father's sins? The doctor emerged before anyone could respond, her expression grave. The family of Kang Dae-jung. What followed was medical terminology and grim prognosis. Surgery. Complications. Uncertain recovery. Jihoon heard it all from a distance, his hand finding Adanna's and gripping tight. After the doctor left, his mother approached them. We need to discuss this rationally. There's nothing rational about what you did, Jihoon said flatly. I protected you. Protected our family. Mrs. Kang's mask cracked slightly. You were children playing at love. The pregnancy would have destroyed your future. It was my future to destroy. Jihoon felt Adanna trembling beside him. You had no right. I had every right. I'm your mother. You're a woman who chose pride over compassion. Who valued money over morality. Who destroyed an innocent girl's life because she didn't fit your narrow definition of acceptable. He released Adanna's hand to face his mother fully. I'm ashamed to be your son. Mrs. Kang slapped him. The crack echoed through the waiting room. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. Soyeon stepped forward then, her voice quiet but firm. I think we should give them privacy. You defend this. Mrs. Kang rounded on her. You defend him bringing his mistress to your future father-in-law's bedside. I defend basic human decency. Soyeon looked at Jihoon with something like pity. And I release you from our engagement. We both knew it was a business arrangement. But I won't marry a man who loves someone else. No one deserves that. The engagement ended in a hospital waiting room at 2 in the morning, witnessed by a mother who looked like she'd swallowed glass and a brother who hugged Jihoon tight and whispered, finally. Adanna remained silent through it all, her face unreadable, until Jihoon led her outside to the hospital garden. Dawn was breaking over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. You shouldn't have done that, she said finally. Your father might die. Your family is fractured. And for what? For truth. Jihoon cupped her face in his hands. For the chance to build something real instead of living a comfortable lie. For you, Adanna. Always for you. I'm scared. The admission seemed torn from her. I'm scared to believe this. To trust you again. What if you change your mind? What if family pressure becomes too much and you regret this? Then I'll spend every day proving I won't. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. I'll marry you tomorrow if you'll have me. I'll quit Kang Corporation and work for you. I'll move to Lagos or London or anywhere you want. I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I choose you. Every day. For the rest of my life. Adanna started crying then, really crying, 9 years of pain pouring out. Jihoon held her through it, murmuring apologies and promises into her hair. I loved you so much, she sobbed against his chest. I loved you and it nearly destroyed me. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Promise me. She looked up at him, eyes red and vulnerable. Promise me this is real. That you won't disappear or change your mind or let your family come between us again. I promise. He kissed her with everything he had, every word he couldn't say, every feeling he'd buried. I promise, Adanna. You're it for me. You always were. The 6 weeks ended with Kang Corporation stabilized and Okafor Technologies firmly established as Seoul's most innovative tech company. But more importantly, they ended with Jihoon and Adanna standing before a handful of witnesses in a small ceremony that would have horrified his mother. Adanna wore ivory lace with traditional Nigerian coral beads woven into her braids. Jihoon wore his grandfather's hanbok and the coral bracelet that matched hers. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, promising honesty, partnership, and courage. I've loved you since I was 17 years old, Jihoon said, his voice breaking slightly. I've loved you through separation and pain and 9 years of thinking I'd lost you forever. I'll love you through whatever comes next. This is my vow, to choose you, every day, in every way that matters. Adanna's tears fell freely now, but she was smiling. I've carried anger and hurt for so long, but underneath it all, I never stopped loving you. You were my first love, my first heartbreak, and now my last first kiss. This is my vow, to trust again, to build something beautiful from our broken pieces, to create the future we were always meant to have. The kiss tasted like new beginnings. 6 months later, Okafor Kang Technologies announced its formation, a merger that sent shockwaves through Seoul's business community. The company's mission statement emphasized innovation, equality, and social impact, with a significant portion of profits directed towards scholarships for underprivileged students from Nigeria and Korea. Adanna stood before the press conference, Jihoon at her side, their hands linked. We're proof that second chances exist, she said into the microphones. That broken things can be rebuilt stronger than before. That love, when it's real, doesn't end just because the path gets difficult. The pregnancy announcement came 3 months after that, delivered privately to their families. Mrs. Kang wept, whether from joy or regret, Jihoon couldn't tell. But when she asked to be involved, to be a grandmother this time, Adanna surprised everyone by agreeing. On our terms, she said firmly. With boundaries and respect. But yes. Every child deserves to know their grandparents. The road to forgiveness was neither quick nor easy. There were arguments and setbacks, moments when old wounds reopened. But they faced them together, two people who'd learned that love without courage was just words, but courage with love could move mountains. One evening, standing in the nursery they'd painted together, Jihoon wrapped his arms around Adanna from behind, his hands resting on her growing belly. "Do you remember what you said to me once?" he murmured into her hair. "That we'd change the world together." "I remember." Adanna leaned back against him. "We were so young. So idealistic." "Maybe. But we're doing it now, aren't we? One scholarship. One fair business practice. One second chance at a time." Adanna turned in his arms, rising on tiptoe to kiss him softly. "We are. And it's better than anything I imagined. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts." She smiled against his lips. "They made us real. Made this real. I wouldn't change any of it now. Not even the 9 years. Not even those." She pulled back to look at him seriously. "They made me who I am. They taught me strength I didn't know I had. And they proved that what we have is worth fighting for." Jihoon kissed her again, deeper this time, pouring everything into it. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. "I love you. Today, tomorrow, always." "Always," Adanna echoed. "That's a promise we can both keep." The story of Adanna Okafor and Jihoon Kang became legend in Seoul's business circles. The expelled Nigerian scholarship student and the Korean heir who gave up everything. The woman who came back powerful and the men who finally chose courage. Some called it romantic. Others called it scandalous. But to those who knew them, it was simply the truth of two people who refused to let the past define their future. And in the quiet moments, late at night when the city slept and they lay tangled together in darkness, they were just Adanna and Jihoon again. Two kids who fell in love despite impossible odds. Two people who lost each other and found their way back. Two souls who proved that some promises, the ones made in secret and sealed with coral beads, were worth keeping forever. Did this story touch your heart? Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me your favorite moment, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful love stories. What would you have done in Adanna's position? Let me know below.